Alrighty.
5 movies down, 5 to go.
Yep.
We've reached the halfway point. This is 2015.
Yeah. This is a big year for us, honestly.
It was, because we graduated high school, and that's always a big deal for anybody who's, going from high school to college.
Yep.
We didn't know what looked on the horizon for us. We didn't know what was in the future.
Besides a ton of sequels.
Besides a ton of sequels. So I would say 2015 was a really good year for movies. These two obviously highlight that. But in general, there was just a lot of good movies this year. And 2015, I'll always have a respect for 2015 because of what happened and because of the movies that came out. And I always like to reminisce.
Yep.
So I'm curious, Jay, because I know you're just like chomping at the bit. What is your favorite film of 2015?
Well, there are 3 reasons why I picked this movie.
Hit me.
1, it made over $2 billion globally.
Excellent.
2, 937 million of that was in the U.S. alone.
Damn.
The closest to $1 billion.
Yeah.
Even after Endgame.
Yep.
And 3, it's one of 11 films to sell over 100 million tickets.
Shut up.
Yep.
Wow. That
In case you haven't guessed yet, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it. The dark side. A Jedi. They're real.
The Force. It's calling to you. Just let it in.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Continue.
So, this movie actually takes place 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, and ironically, it came out 32 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
The irony.
The irony. The comparisons are awesome.
Well, actually, that's more of a coincidence than anything.
Coincidence, irony, comparison.
Yeah.
Let's go with all of it.
So, a lot has happened within the course of the 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But this story actually takes place revolving around a detracted stormtrooper who wants to resist the First Order, who is the new threat trying to take over the galaxy.
Yep.
A scavenger who's just trying to figure out who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And the best star pilot in the galaxy
Yes.
going on an adventure along with the original cast from the original trilogy
Yeah.
to go on and take down the First Order and bring balance to the galaxy again.
Once again.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, there was such a big deal about Star Wars coming back after all this time, and while a lot of people, majority of people, were really disappointed by the prequel trilogy, this was a way of recapturing that magic of the original trilogy, which is a perfect trilogy of movies in my opinion. It just is. I'm sorry, but it just is. I don't apologize for that. And this was a huge deal because it was bringing back the original cast. But also introducing new characters. And Star Wars was going to be back, and it was back in a big way.
Yeah, I'll admit, for the type of movie that this was, it did what it needed to do. It introduced us to new characters.
Yep.
Referenced the past movies, just like the originals did.
Yeah, Easter eggs.
And then we get a new storyline.
Yep.
And then also it leaves us with questions that the next 2 are going to answer, which only very few are answered, sadly.
That's for a different video.
Yep.
But yeah, this first film, Force Awakens. For me, I walked out of this movie like just so jacked.
Yeah.
I was so energized.
You saw it during my second time.
Yes, you saw it before I did because I was waiting a couple weeks to see
Yep.
it because it was like people were going nuts for this movie.
Like, I saw it like 3 times during the same week.
Yeah, I did end up seeing it I think 2 or 3 times in the theaters,
Yep.
but I saw it with you my first time, your second time. What an experience! I
definitely.
can't remember that many. There aren't that many theater going experiences where there's been applause during,
Yeah.
before, and after a movie, and it was so cool.
I mean, I'm not even kidding you when I say the first time me and my mother went, it was opening day. There was just cheering at all the times anyone from the original cast came on,
Yeah.
especially even before the movie started and after it ended.
People went nuts when the
Yeah.
when the logo came up again, 'cause it
Yeah.
was like, oh my god, this is Star Wars, like, and the score.
I know. It's like seeing your favorite team in the Super Bowl all over again.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I'm assuming, yeah, it is, probably. You know,
Yeah.
If I was more into sports, I would completely agree with you, but yes. Yeah, so this movie was just,
Yeah.
it had a lot to live up to, and I think in both
And-
of our opinions, it did.
I mean, visually, it kind of did remind me of how the originals were created.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great mix of CGI and practical effects. It didn't constantly remain on one of each.
Yep.
Unlike the prequels, which is mostly CGI.
Mhm.
But yeah, this movie felt very natural. It actually used real locations this time,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the prequels was more like production built, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice to have some realism into this,
It is,
along with the fantasy theme of Star Wars.
Yeah, and especially since the prequel trilogy relied way too heavily on CGI.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice to go back to the practical effects and the blend of it, because it just felt more authentic to the world that Star Wars is.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I still love this movie to this day. Rewatches are even better. The rewatchability on this movie is
Yep.
nuts.
I know.
Do you
Yeah.
want to talk about your favorite scene? Or you still have a little bit more?
Overall, I would say this is probably my third or fourth Star Wars movie, or third or fourth favorite Star Wars movie that I've seen.
Yeah, it's probably like my second or third. Somewhere in
Yeah.
between second and fourth. Yeah.
If there was one thing I would do differently, I would lay off the nostalgia just a bit. I mean,
but once we found out what was next to come, I feel like it wasn't as heavy on nostalgia as other film that came
I
out
mean,
last year was.
I get Jakku looks too much like Tatooine,
Yeah.
and
Too many desert planets in general.
but I mean, there's only so much you can. I mean, we live on a planet.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, and I didn't mind. I thought Jakku looked different enough
Yeah.
from Tatooine, but you know, what are you gonna do?
I mean, at least Starkiller Base was different in its own way.
It did, yeah, it did look different from a Death Star. It was essentially just the Death Star, but
Yeah.
I actually thought it looked cooler.
It did, and it ran on a different source of energy too.
It did. They changed enough about it. Is it sort of a rehash of A New Hope? Sure, those arguments are valid.
Yeah,
But I love A New Hope, and I think we needed a little bit of a rehash to get people back on board
Yeah.
for the world of Star Wars.
Yep.
So, you know, that being said, I'm going to ask you your favorite moment, and then I'll give my own.
So my favorite moment was Kylo Ren versus Finn and Rey.
In the forest, the
Yep.
snowy forest. Yeah.
I
You know,
mean,
that's my favorite too.
The
It
most
really
shocking
is.
part about that scene is that even Finn could jab Kylo Ren a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
I'm
so
thinking-
cool. And the music that swelled during that
Yeah.
scene, the cinematography, I love how the lightsaber fights in this one in particular do not feel choreographed.
And I also love how the trailers kind of make you think that the story will almost be about Finn, when in reality it's about Rey.
It is about Rey. Yeah, they kind of did a switcheroo. They kind of pulled the rug out from underneath you, and you're like, oh no, it's actually about this character. But character we haven't even talked about, which we'll mention briefly. My favorite character of this new trilogy is Poe Dameron, and I thought he was great too. His bromance, his growing bromance with Finn was also awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the best chemistry in this new trilogy. And
Apparently, some people wanted them to be gay. I'm like, just no.
why does everything have to be like represented by
I mean-
LGBT? No, like just have them be really good friends. A
I mean,
bromance doesn't mean they have to be.
Can you
gay.
have a gay couple in Star Wars? Yes, but This is a different situation.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like, I mean, in our woke culture as it is now, I don't think everything has to be. I think some things can just be, and I'm not even against it. I'm just like, why does everything in film have to be this? Can't it just be this?
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be against it, but at the same time, I was like, that's not necessary. How about they really care about each other, and it's sweet. There's nothing else besides that. They're just really good friends, and they believe in each other.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be that,
I know.
Anyways,
it's enough Star Wars talk.
We could talk for hours about Force Awakens. But that being said, my favorite film, shockingly not Star Wars, but Star Wars was like number 2, number 3.
And surprisingly not Mad Max.
And surprisingly not, also that was in like the top 3. I love Mad Max Fury Road. My favorite film of 2015 is going to shock a lot of people, and that is Ryan Gosling's directorial debut, his only debut as a director, and that is Lost River.
I found a road that goes underwater.
Must go down to that town.
What town?
They flooded a bunch of towns when they dammed the river. That's why they call this Lost River. As soon as the last town was drowned, a spell was cast. Everything that's going on around here, it's gotta be for some reason.
This is my country! This is my city! Don't let me see your face again!
Bully running everything now. Head south, man.
You're a very beautiful lady.
What's this?
It's a job.
Where is that?
Somewhere over the rainbow, let's put it that way.
Is it dangerous? The door's locked, you're fine. Why would you steal from Billy? He's trouble. He'll hurt you.
Hey! You better run your ass!
What's keeping you here?
Me, my mom, Frankie.
Is that what's keeping you here?
Everybody's looking for a better life somewhere.
Hey, want to ride home? What if something happened and we had to leave tomorrow? Would you come?
Now you believe me about the spell.
I think this is a wildly understood and misunderstood film as well. Is it weird? Yes. Is it dark? Is it disturbing at times? Yes. But it's also beautiful, gorgeous, haunting, and it's so different than what we usually see in movies these days that I respect the risks that it took. And while some didn't all work, the cinematography, the music, the environment of this movie was just so unique and different that I had to give it to the movie, because I just, and not many people have seen this movie because it only made
615,000.
615,000. Yeah, it was definitely a bomb. I'm sad for the movie. I'm sad for Ryan Gosling because I think he really tried to make this unique, interesting film, and I don't think it's bad whatsoever. I think it's actually a very good film. I just think it's a misunderstood one, and I hope more people watch it and it gets the respect it deserves. Because I know some people who've seen it that love it just as much as I do. Another film that came out in 2018, not to get off on a tangent, Under the Silver Lake, similar to Lost River, I feel like it's misunderstood and most people have not seen it.
So I've never heard of it.
And that's another recommendation you should see, Under the Silver Lake. I bet you didn't know, Andrew Garfield is the lead in it.
Oh, cool.
And it's my favorite performance of his. And I mean, that's above Hacksaw Ridge.
Really?
Yeah. And above 99 Homes, which he's also excellent in. So that being said, yeah, Lost River, I highly recommend it. Please go watch it. Maybe you'll feel the same way about it that I do. And if not, that's fine. Film is subjective. Star Wars The Force Awakens for you.
Yep.
Lost River for me. We've covered 2015. Yep. Now we're getting into the second half of the decade. 2016.
No, we're already in the second half.
Sorry, we're continuing the second half of the decade. 2016, up next.